Hello everybody, I hope we're doing all okay today. How are we doing? Hopefully, I've had a few technical issues. I think I've just been talking to myself for a little bit. I am pretty sure, which is a tad embarrassing. I didn't quite figure out, there was something on this page that I can't quite figure out. But I think it's going now. Hopefully. God, it's rather embarrassing, unfortunately. Anyhow, are we ready to kick off the stream? I'm so sorry for how long that's taken. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the revival stream of Blame Football. I'm your host, Alex, at alextalksall, and we are kicking things off with a bang today. MAINOO to Barcelona. Who on earth is Arsenal's number 9? The big Olise decision, and the topic we're kicking off today with is the question, who is the man to replace Kylian Mbappe? If you're excited for all of that, please hit that like and subscribe button. And although it's a new face at Blame Football, I can promise you we're still going to be delivering the same ban-first football content to you and constantly feeding your football obsession. So, kicking off with, who is the man to replace Kylian Mbappe? And before we get into all that, please make sure you get involved in the chat. I want to keep a conversation with you guys. It's not just me talking to you. I want to learn from you. You disagree with me? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Don't let me go waffling. But Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid is arguably the most long, drawn out, dragged out transfer saga which I can remember in living memory, at least in the Fabrizio Romano era of reporting. And everyone has been focusing on how is that Real Madrid frontline going to look? Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, Joselu, if you want to think about that. How is that all gonna fit together? How is that all gonna fit together? But no one's really been thinking about what's going to happen at Paris Saint-Germain. The best player in world football has just left. You can't just replace him like that. So therefore, there's been a comprehensive list drawn up, and it appears the Guardian reports it pretty strongly. They're going to be moving towards, and don't get mad at me if I butcher the name, Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian 23-year-old out of Napoli. I'm pretty sure that's how I say his name. He's had an okay year for Napoli. They finished 10th, just quite underwhelming considering the sort of players they have with Victor Osimhen up front as well. He's got, 17 goals and assists this year. So he's done all right for himself, and he's not done as underwhelming as other players they could potentially bring in. But he doesn't really have that X factor to me. When you think about Paris Saint-Germain, you think about the high-profile names. You think about Edinson Cavani in his prime. You think about Neymar. You think about Kylian Mbappe. You think about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So therefore, I've sort of tried to find out other possibilities, other players which PSG could be moving after. One of them is Rafael Leão. Another is Marcus Rashford. Now, Marcus Rashford has been constantly linked to Paris Saint-Germain throughout his time at Manchester United. Every time something sort of hits a hump with him, he goes into a poor run of form or something along the same lines. Marcus Rashford finds himself being linked with Paris Saint-Germain. Now, he's not had the best of years, only clocking in, 9 goals and assists, only getting 7 goals in the Premier League, which is underwhelming to say the least, but it's clear that boy has talent. It's clear that boy can deliver when needed. How he performed in the second half of last season was phenomenal. Those goals against Barcelona, that performance in the Carabao Cup final, he could certainly deliver in a functional side around him. And United is anything but. You put him in a functional PSG side, who knows what could happen. Rafael Leão is a player who people have been waiting on for a while. 25 years old, a physical frame that one would kill for, long strides, powerful strides, a great striker of the ball, very, very powerful, just physically. But he's sort of yet to hit the heights that we're all expecting him to. People have been talking him up as a Ballon d'Or level talent for years. He's never really hit it. He got second this year with AC Milan, just losing out to first place. But again, it's like we're waiting for more with Rafael Leão. Constantly waiting. And we're just sort of left in the situation where all of the options available to us are quite underwhelming. Both Kvaratskhelia, Rafael Leão and Marcus Rashford all seem to have their flaws. So I propose we go, PSG go for Somerville out of Leeds. Now, I understand that's a rogue take. I really do understand that. And the first thing that's going to be said to me, and if anyone's in the chat, let me know if you disagree. The first thing that will be said to me is he's a Leeds player. He's in the Championship. The Championship is full of farmers. It's worse than the French League. It's worse than... you can't prove yourself. He hasn't proved himself, is probably what you're saying. And they did crash out this year in the playoffs. They didn't get promoted. So I can understand that argument, but we have to look at examples like Adam Wharton and Amad Diallo, both thriving in the Championship and both then putting in exceptional performances at a higher level. Amad Diallo has been a year at Sunderland, shined, comes to United, gets completely taken away, doesn't get any minutes, and when he's brought on, he scores a crack of a goal against Newcastle, contributes really well against Arsenal, best player on the pitch against Arsenal. He scores the winning goal in the 120th minute in the dying embers of the game against Liverpool in an FA Cup quarter-final that they go on to win. That, to me, is enough to show that the Championship is a really good measure of character. Adam Wharton, a man who was blossomed at Crystal Palace since his move. He's been wonderful all season at Blackburn. And he's come into the England setup, possibly the deepest international midfield in world football. And he fits right in. He slots seamlessly in. There are now arguments that Adam Wharton should start for England in a Euros in which they are favourites. And that, to me, is genuinely quite insane. And sort of makes you realise just how competitive and how nurturing I think the Championship is. And that's why I'm really putting forward Somerville as a player to replace Kylian Mbappe. 29 goals and assists, electric down the left-hand side, clocking in at 34.8 kilometres an hour. Absolutely flying down the wing. He's got a really good right foot. He's not Mbappe with that near post finish, his signature finish. He's not got that in his locker. But he could certainly provide 20 goals and assists plus, as well as facilitating those around him. I think Somerville can definitely contribute really well to other players around the game. Anyone got any thoughts on that in the chat? Do you agree with me that Somerville is a better option for Paris Saint-Germain than Marcus Rashford, than Rafael Leao, than Kavika Kvaratskhelia? Let me know in the chat. We're moving on to Olise, and we've still got MAINOO and Arsenal's frontman to discuss. Let me know in the chat if you disagree or agree with me. Michael Olise. Now, a man who's been talked about a lot this window by all journalists alike, and the two clubs that are really quite interested in him, and it's no secret by this point, is Chelsea Football Club and Manchester United Football Club. It was sort of speculated for a while that Manchester United were in the lead. They had the links that Olise was a boyhood United fan. They had that sort of pull with him. But with the manager debacle and them sort of stalling on anything apart from dealing with the manager situation, Chelsea have seemingly leapfrogged ahead of them. There were some reports coming out yesterday from Tactically Matt, an Everton fan, that Olise had agreed personal terms with Chelsea. Crystal Palace sources dispute this. I was told yesterday by someone that they had not agreed terms with Chelsea. But look, it certainly appears that Chelsea are in the lead. And as a United fan, it does heartbreak me a little bit, but that's not what I really want to focus on. What I want to look at is the evolution of a player's decisions when choosing where to go in the footballing world. As we've just seen with Benjamin Sesko, someone we're going to talk about later, he's chosen, with Arsenal looking at him, with potentially Liverpool looking at him, with the top clubs around the world looking at him, that he is going to stay at RB Leipzig for another year. It shows maturity, it shows intelligence, and it's really quite impressive, I feel, that players are able to nowadays sort of calm themselves down, be patient, and just wait. Paul Gascoigne moved to Spurs because, what was it? They offered his parents a house. Imagine that happening today. A player would push that right aside because they're thinking about their career, they're thinking about their future. That move to Spurs ruined Gascoigne. It ruined him. But Olise is taking his time. He's not going to go to United because it's a boyhood club. He's not going to go to Chelsea because that's where he was in academy. That's where he was linked to last season. He's looking at both objectively. He's looking at the structures he's going into. He's looking at Chelsea with its dysfunctional but getting their structure. They've got a realm of technical directors, and Todd Bowley, is he still at the strings? Who knows? And at United, we still don't know what it is. It's an unknown. And Olise is probably looking at that. He's probably a little bit concerned, especially with the way they're handling the manager situation. And looking at the teams themselves, Chelsea are in a far better situation. Look at the names they have there. They've got Enzo Fernandez, they've got Cole Palmer, they've got Moises Caicedo, they've got Mudryk, they've got Levi Colwill. There's a really good foundation there. At United, it's a bit harder to quantify that. It's been established that no one at Manchester United is untouchable. That's something we're going to get back to in just a second with the, quite frankly, laughable Kobbie Mainoo rumours. But that's the thing, Olise, everything at United is an unknown for Olise, and he needs to be presented with a project that will convince him as such. My personal opinion at the moment is that Olise will go to Chelsea, because I do think United are sort of dilly-dallying a little bit with the whole manager situation. They're taking a little bit too much time, and it doesn't seem to be really working for them at the moment. If you guys have any opinions on that, on where do you think Olise will end up, let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your opinions. I mean, I don't think, as a United fan speaking, Manchester United need Olise, but I do feel that there is I do feel that it's a target that Ineos have had for a while, and if they don't get their man, they're going to seem rather incompetent. And I think Olise, the fact that he sees himself as the indicator for competency at Manchester United, it probably worries him just a little bit. I mean, talking about Manchester United, we're going to be looking at probably the most laughable rumour I've seen all year. Every year, hundreds of different players are linked with hundreds of different clubs, and it's all agent talk, or it's all nonsense, or there's all an agenda behind it, and there's nothing actually substantially there. And to me, this report is just that. It's by El Nacional in Spain. It says Barcelona manager Hansi Flick wants to build his midfield around Manchester United midfielder Kobbie Mainoo, and the La Liga side have offered £8.5 million plus winger Rafinha in a swap deal for the England international. What a load of rubbish. Honestly, it's the most ludicrous report I've heard in a long time. Long time. First of all, 8.5 million plus Rafinha, you're about 100 million too short. 100 million too short. We've shown no interest in Rafinha. Rafinha has shown no interest in us. I'm pretty sure last summer United reached out to him in some respects. And he was just like, no, I do not want to come to United. I do not want to come to that mess. And you know what? Fair enough. But that sort of got me thinking when I read this, because I just went, absolutely not. No one could ever have Kobbie Mainoo. And it got me thinking, at your club, who would you not want to leave? Who is absolutely untouchable? £100 million could arrive at your desk and you would say no. You would go no. £200 million, you would say no. 300, no. Who is untouchable at your football club? I'm thinking around different clubs. If we go to Barcelona, you've got to be thinking the players they put the 1 billion release clauses on. A Pedri, a Xavi, a Balde maybe. Players who they just cannot afford to lose, and they will refuse to lose. If we go around the Premier League, United, it's Kobbie Mainoo. Chelsea, could it be Cole Palmer? Could it be Mikhailo Mudryk? At Arsenal, do you look at Declan Rice? Do you look at maybe Bukayo Saka as untouchable? Say Real Madrid came in tomorrow with a £150 million bid for Bukayo Saka. What would you do with that? Would you go absolutely not? I mean, I remember, what was it? Last year, Arsenal fans were willing to sacrifice the Premier League for Bukayo Saka. I mean, that is insane, the loyalty to these players. But I do the same for Kobbie Mainoo. And I'm sure there's someone at your football club who you would do the same for there, who you would give up a Premier League title for in order to keep them. So if you do have one of those players, let me know in the comments below. Or if you think that player doesn't exist for you, let me know that as well. Let me know. And now, speaking about Arsenal, I mentioned Bukayo Saka, and there is a gaping hole in Arsenal's front nine, and that is the number 9 position. Near the end of the season, it became abundantly clear that Arsenal were lacking a gunman, someone to score 20, 30 goals a season. It appears to beat City, you need a Haaland, or a Haaland equivalent, or someone to do the damage that Haaland can. Haaland, in an underwhelming season, how many goals did he score? It's over 30, I think. where it was very, very close. And that's an underwhelming season. So my point of view is that for Arsenal to really compete, they need a gunman. And it's not going to be Gabriel Jesus. It's not going to be Kai Havertz swapping between the number 8 and the number 9. I think you have to choose somewhere for him to be. But this has led to Arsenal pursuing so many different players. Victor Gyökeres, Joshua Zirkzee, Matheus Cunha, Osimhen, Ivan Toney are all names that have cropped up as people who Arsenal are pursuing at their football club. So let me know in the chat, who would you have at Arsenal? Which striker do you think they need? I mean, looking down the list, my personal choice would be Victor Osimhen. However financially unrealistic that may be, I don't think Arsenal really need to invest anywhere in their squad. I think it's perfectly fine for them to just blow all their money on one of the best strikers in world football. I know he had an underwhelming season at Napoli, but just imagine Bukayo Saka whipping those balls into Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen's pace and physicality storming past Premier League centre-backs as Odegaard whips that through ball into him. It would be a terrifying sight. Would Arsenal fans give up the chance to maybe bolster more of their team just for Victor Osimhen? Who knows? I'm not an Arsenal fan. Let me know in the chat if you are. I'm really curious to hear your opinion. Really curious. Looking at other players, I think Joshua Zirkzee is someone who you already have that sort of profile. I think it's Gabriel Jesus. It's a very sort of player. Same as Matheus Cunha. They're players who are really good with their back to goal, really good at facilitating other players around them, but they do lack the final product. They lack that goal-scoring instincts. That poacher's ability. They just don't quite have. And it's unfortunate, but it just sort of diminishes their value to a top side. So that's why I'm only going to be really looking at, for Arsenal, Ivan Toney or Gyökeres, if you really want to sort of move funds elsewhere as well and bolster other parts of the squad. Victor Gyökeres to me he was at Coventry City last year, absolutely stormed it. Went to Sporting Lisbon, absolutely stormed it. He's got his whole signature celebration. You know what? It's quite impressive what he's done. And again, it's a testament to how good the Championship is. But I think my problem is he's very limited. I think people go on and on about, oh, he can dribble, oh, he's quite mobile. Try that against an Ake. Try that against a Ruben Diaz. Try that against a Saliba. It won't work. The Portuguese league is considerably weaker than the English Premier League. So I do think they would struggle. I do think they would struggle. And when it comes to Ivan Toney, theoretically, he's the whole package. Everything. Heading, finishing, movement, passing, facilitating others, back to goal play, physical frame. Everything fits Arsenal to a T, apart from the mental profile. It's a bit of a shame, but I just don't think his head's in the right place when it comes to football. I think he's incredibly disrespectful to Brentford, and he has been and continues to be. I don't think that really helps his stock. I also think he's got that hard working, that killer mentality. I know he's so cool and composed on penalties, but box in the box, 90th minute, goal, title winning chance. I don't back Ivan Toney to score that. I'd back Erling Haaland to score that. I'd back a Ruud van Nistelrooy to score that. I'd back an Alan Shearer to score that. I'd back all the greats in Premier League history, all the great teams and their great strikers. Sergio Aguero, for example. Diego Costa even. These are strikers who you would back to score the title-winning goal. I just don't back Ivan Toney to score that. So, Victor Osimhen or nothing? Well, no, because I do think Kai Havertz has a role to play at Arsenal. I do think he has a role to play. I think shifting him back to be a number 8 is a very silly decision. It's a very, very silly decision. He's got everything bar. It's just his defensive ability isn't quite up to scratch. He can't be that box to box. I think he's brilliant. The third man runs. I think it's wonderful. But Arsenal were at their best last season when Kai Havertz was their leading man. And I do think with the game on the line, title on the line, 90th minute, Kai Havertz would score Arsenal a title-winning goal. And on that note, I'm going to leave you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this back when it's not live, please leave a like on the video, hit the subscribe button as well, and let me know your thoughts on the video in the comments. I've really enjoyed today, and I can't wait to keep on doing this. I'll see you guys soon.